Okay. My computer is not letting me get out of this, the reminders thing. It's not letting me get out of it. Out of it. There we go. Nope. Good morning and welcome to this week's Ask Me Anything. Ask Me Anything is just what it says. You can type in any questions that you have into the chat box, and I, Amber Hug, National Education Manager for Schwarzkopf Professional, will answer them live for you here wherever you're watching. You could be watching from Instagram, you could be watching from Facebook, you could be watching from YouTube, and I will answer any of your questions that you type into the chat box. I'm live here in Los Angeles at our Culver City office and what I like to call the brand room. You can see the Schwarzkopf head behind me, these lovely bowls of color behind me that are super cute. So start typing in your questions so I can answer them. In the meantime, if you have questions that I'm not able to answer today, don't forget skpedu.com is a place that you can go to set up a one-on-one appointment with an educator. So while we're waiting for people to start typing in their questions, why don't you tell me where you're tuning in here from? I'm here in Los Angeles, so I'd love to see where some of you are. Let's see if I can see. We've got Orlando here. Oh, our color is amazing. Thank you. I love that. All right, so I see there's a question in here already. Can Vibrance Clear be applied by itself to use as a treatment? That is actually a great question and one I love to cover. So Vibrance has 0-00. That is our clear. It can be added to any other Vibrance shade to sheer out that shade. If the 0-00 clear is added to a shade, extra activator should be added in a 1-to-1 ratio. If you are using Clear 0-00 by itself as a treatment, you do not need to add any activator to it. But yes, the answer to that question is yes, you can actually use Clear by itself as a treatment. To do so, you would shampoo the hair first. Rinse out the shampoo, towel dry really well, then apply 0-00 by itself. Now, the beauty of 0-00 is yes, it comes in this smaller little box, but it also comes in a 500 milliliter bottle. So you can keep it right at your shampoo bowl area, apply it right onto the hair, let it sit for up to 20 minutes, and this will get you up to 12 shampoos worth of additional shine. So great question. You absolutely can use the Clear as a shine treatment for the hair. And I asked some of you to tell me where you're tuning in from. We've got Pennsylvania here as well. Let's see if I have anything else here. Oh, you're new to this line. Well, welcome. Schwarzkopf is an amazing line. And I have one here. I know you have a 10-minute color range. I'm kind of afraid to use it. Can you explain the benefits of this line and the best practices? I think that is another excellent question. Thank you for that one. This is color 10. Color 10, what is it? Color 10 is our IGORA Real 100% gray coverage that you can achieve in just 10 minutes. Yes, just 10 minutes. So how does it work? I know when I first heard about a 10-minute color line, I was like, wait a minute. If it can process in 10 minutes, what is it doing to the hair? Is that super harmful to the hair? The answer to that is no, it is not harmful to the hair. Reason being, we use something called an amino acid delivery system. That amino acid delivery system uses a combination of amino acids, glycine and arginine. Those are the two smallest amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of keratin. Your hair is made of keratin. So when it has protein near it, it's like, ooh, I'll take that. So we have attached color pigments to the amino acids so that when you apply Agora Color 10 to the hair grabs the amino acids and the color at the same time. So it is the combination of that amino acid delivery system and extra pigment that allows you to get 100% gray coverage in just 10 minutes. Now, within this line, we do have quite a few shades, but not as much as Agora Real. But what's great is these shades do match 100% to your Agora Real shades. In color 10, our dash 0, which is our natural, our neutral, our dash 00, which is our natural extra, and dash 1, which is cendre, all give you 100% gray coverage on their own. Everything else gives up to 50% gray coverage. If you need to get 100% gray coverage with a fashion shade, you simply use 2/3 of your formula with your fashion shade and 1/3 of your formula with a natural that gives you 100% gray coverage. 10 to 15 minute processing time. 10 minutes is usually plenty for fine hair, but if you have coarse resistant gray hair, you want to leave that on for up to 15 minutes. So it is that amino acid delivery system that allows you to get 100% gray coverage in just 10 minutes. And I love having this because how many times have you colored someone's hair and you go to rinse it out and oops, there's that one little spot that just didn't cover? Guess what? Agora Color 10 can be your savior. You put that on right at the shampoo bowl, 10 minutes, you're done. You fix that spot. What if you had a bleeder? Same thing. I can take my Agora Color 10, I put that on the in-between spots where my foil has bled, and I've suddenly got a better color in 10 minutes or less. I've corrected that situation. So if you haven't tried it yet, highly recommend. Love Agora Color 10. Thank you for that question. All right, so next question we have, how would you go about taking a level 2 hair? Ooh, I can see this is going to be a tricky question. Level 2 hair to platinum white blonde, then smudging the roots with biscuit hair color or another complementary color to the platinum blonde. Well, first and foremost, is our level 2 a previously colored or a naturally colored level 2? Because that could determine if you can do this in one day or if this is going to be a multi-step. If somebody has virgin hair in their level 2, there is a chance you might be able to get them to platinum blonde, but it might still take 2 applications of lightener, and we always recommend doing the lighteners in separate days. So I like to show how many of you out there have seen the image, it's October now, of the pumpkins. You've got the pumpkin that's a black pumpkin, and then the pumpkin is orange, and then the pumpkin is like an orange that's dying, and then it's white. That is a great representation of taking somebody from level 2 dark hair to platinum blonde. There are those in between levels. You have to go through orange and brassy to get up to platinum. So you first have to set the stage and say, because you're a level 2, I might only be able to get you to maybe like a level 7 or 8 lighter, like dark brown, light blonde. We may not get you to platinum blonde the first time. But once you do get them to platinum blonde, once you go that second time, maybe third time to lift them again and get them to platinum blonde, then I would recommend utilizing some shades that we have in Vibrance. And with Vibrance, we have a lot of different options, but something that I love, and I know you mentioned Biscuit, and we do have Biscuit in our Blonde Me toners, but I really love this 9.5-46. It's a really beautiful champagne toner and has almost this slight hint of a pinkiness to it. So I love using this for the new growth on that platinum blonde if I've gotten her to that pale yellow. And then for mid-lengths and ends, I would use a complementary level 10. And I like to mix my gold and my beige together to get this really pretty biscuit shade. So I would take these two and mix them together. We do also have a new shade in our level 10, the 10-42. That might also be an excellent option for you to get that beige ash. So it's going to have that beige first. It's almost got this sand look to it, which gives it almost that biscuit feel. So again, if they're going from a level 2 all the way up to platinum blonde, I recommend doing it in increments. Start by lifting them to maybe a level 7, level 8 the first time to keep their hair in good condition. Do conditioning treatments in between. Then do another lightening service where you could take them to that platinum blonde. Let them know they're going to have an in-between color, which can be fun. It's October. People like to have a warmer blonde this time of year, and then you can get them to that platinum blonde and utilize any of our Vibrance toners to finish it off. So great question. Thank you for that. That's always a tricky one. If the hair is previously colored, it's always harder to lift it, but I recommend using our Blonde Me 9 Plus lightener Anytime you're taking somebody from level 2 up to platinum blonde, Blonde Me 9 Plus is our Ferrari of lighteners. It's going to get you where you need to go, and it's going to get you there very quickly. Now, I want to remind you, if you have questions, start typing them into the chat box. I'm going to continue to answer them. But if I don't get to your question, or maybe I didn't give you the answer you're looking for, don't forget to go to skpedu.com. You can book a one-on-one appointment with an Ask Expert, which is our education team members, and they can answer your questions one-on-one. All right, so next question we've got here. All right, hello. What color would you use to take a level 2 Asian hair to level 6 chestnut brown? I was thinking 5-6 with 30 volume and 10 volume on the roots, but would like a suggestion from you. Excellent question. So level 2 can be tricky to get up to a level 6. Now, the one thing about, I know you mentioned this was Asian hair. Asian hair tends to be a little bit stronger. And the other thing about Asian hair is my hair, because I have a finer hair texture, is more of an oval shape. An oval shape is easier to get lighter because as in an oval, the two sides are a little bit closer together. That means I can get deeper into that hair cuticle easier. But like Asian hair strands tend to be more round. If it's more round, it means that there's equidistance to the center of that hair, to the medulla, no matter where you are on that hair strand, which means it can be a little harder to lift. So because of that, I know you mentioned using 30 volume. I actually would almost recommend utilizing a 40 volume because you're going from a level 2 all the way to a level 6. That is going to be 4 levels of lift. So in order to truly get 4 levels of lift, you would need to use a 40 volume to achieve up to 4 levels of lift. 30 volume might only get you to a level 5. So for a level 6, I would recommend using 40 volume with a level 6 Agora Riel color. Now, as far as what color you want, I know that you mentioned in here, let's see, what did you were going to use a chocolate shade and you wanted to take level 2 to chestnut brown. While you're using a chocolate shade, just remember lifting from level 2 to level 6 is already going to have that orange undertone. We've got our underlying pigment, which the back of the book actually has a lovely little strip here that shows your underlying warmth at different levels. And if we're looking at this, our level 6 is going to have an orange or a red-orange color to it already. So if you're looking for chestnut and you put chocolate, which is already a warm brown, it might end up being too warm. I would suggest actually we have a 6-16. That's a level 6, and that's a beige, or sorry, a cendre chocolate. So that's going to have that cendre. That cendre is going to give you this nice little kind of ashy tone first, and then it's going to give you chocolate as your reflective color. And it's one of my favorite shades in the line. I'm just trying to see if I can find it in the book here. If I can't find it in this one, I will find it in the other. There we go. These are the -16. Now on the swatch, you can see it looks almost a little smoky. But because you're lifting from a level 2 all the way to a level 6, that cendre is going to help to counteract some of that warmth and still leave you with a beautiful chestnut shade. So my recommendation for that client on the mid-lengths to ends, use a 6-16 with 40 volume. Then on the root area, maybe only use 30 volume with your 5 or 6-16. So I hope that helped you out. If not, again, don't forget you can book your one-on-one with an educator at skpedu.com. All right, so next question we have, can you explain pastel fire and how you would use it with Agora Riel shades? Yes, pastel fire. It's a tricky little guy, isn't it? So it's one of our additives in the brand, and pastel fire has 3 jobs. When we look at this swatch here, pastel fire is on the very bottom. If we look at this, you can see it's clear, but it almost has a slight little smokiness to it. Pastel fire has 3 jobs. Job number 1 is going to help you get 1 extra level of lift in a color formula. Job number 2 is to dilute your color formula. Job number 3 then is going to give you this slight smokiness to slightly soften those results. So it's going to cool off your end result. So 3 jobs. It's going to dilute your formula, it's going to give you 1 extra level of lift in your formula, and it's also going to give you a slight dustiness. Now, my favorite way to use pastel fire is if I'm using permanent color for a color melt. I love to use pastel fire to get lighter, dustier shades. So I'm going to use 6-16 as an example. The dash 16 again is that Cendré chocolate. So say I wanted that for my new growth. I want this deep new growth, but I want it to melt into slightly lighter and slightly dustier and maybe down into like this like mushroom lighter brown in the ends. I could take 5-16 by itself on the new growth. For the mid area, maybe I do a third of my formula with 5-16 and then, or sorry, one third. How about half of my formula with 5-16 and half of it with pastel fire? That's going to really soften, give a lighter, dustier shade. And maybe on the very ends, if they're pre-lightened, I do more pastel fire than I do 5-16 to get that lighter, dustier feel. So that's one way to use it, to create this color melt where I start from like a darker shade, get a little lighter and dustier to pastel-fy it. The other way I would use this, a great example is we were talking about that going from that level 2 to level 6 chestnut brown. If my client has really resistant hair, my 40 volume can get me up to 4 levels of lift, up to. That means it's not guaranteed to be 4 levels of lift. If I know I really want that extra level of lift, I can actually add a little bit of my pastel fire into my 5-16, and that's going to help to bump up and give me that extra level of lift to make sure I achieve that true level 6. So when you're trying to get a little extra lift in your color formula, it's an excellent choice for that as well. Now, reminder, if you add pastel fire into your color, you do need to add developer in a 1-to-1 ratio equally. For example, if I did 20 grams of 5-16, which is that Cendré chocolate, to 20 grams of pastel fire, 20 and 20 is 40. So I would need 40 grams of my IGORA Real developer. And if I'm looking for that extra level of lift, it would be my 40 volume developer. Just remember, pastel fire dilutes your formula. So I would not recommend utilizing pastel fire on gray coverage. I would utilize it for mid-lengths and ends. So I hope that helps you out with the pastel fire. I know it can be a little tricky sometimes, but I hope that helped. Again, if not, you can always go to our skp.edu.com page and get more answers there by booking your one-on-one appointment. All right, so I'm trying to get down to the next question here, but for some reason my computer is being weird and is not allowing me to scroll down. So give me, okay, there we go. We got it. Technical difficulties here. We're here. Next question. I've got the Warm Vibrance kit with my bleach. Give me some ideas for fall for toning the blondes from Des Moines, Iowa. Well, thank you for typing in from Des Moines. So the Warm Blondes kit is going to have a lot of shades for warmer blondes. So Vibrance has 2 kits right now. We have one that's a warm blondes and one that is a cool blondes kit. Now, I can't remember exactly what shades are in the warm blondes or cool blondes kit, but what I do know that the warm blondes kit is going to have warmer shades like your golds or your beiges, maybe a copper. So when we're talking about ideas for toning for the fall, golds are really popular right now. Like they are taking over. People are wanting gold more than they're wanting ash. They get more of that reflectiveness. It's more of a rich color. We're talking about these rich blondes that we have. So within our warm kit, I'm just going to think of things that I think might be within that kit. And again, I might be wrong, but even if you have these in your kit, use them. And if you don't, go get them because you're going to want them. One that we have is 10-5. So if you're a platinum blonde and you want to have just a toner at that platinum blonde that's more of that warm blonde, like butter blonde toner, 10-5 is going to be perfect for you. Our golds are very natural gold. They're not that brassy like I accidentally went gold. It's more of a true natural gold. So 10-5 is a platinum toner, gives you the most beautiful butter blonde. But your level 10 toners are meant to be put on a base level blonde. It's got to be like a high level 9, like pale yellow, inside of banana peel yellow. If it's not that light, you won't even notice the 10-5. So that's when 9.5-5 is another great toner. On its own, it's such a beautiful shade, but I also like to mix the 9.5-5 with our beige toner, which is the 9.5-4 at the very top here. The two of them together, that beige will help to soften that gold just a little bit and gives you just this beautiful end result. Now, if you're trying to go a little bit deeper, or maybe you want a little bit of a deeper tone on the highlights on the new growth area and lighter on the ends, 9-55, don't forget about this one. 9-55 is a level 9 and it is gold extra. I like to use this with a 6 volume lotion as like a shadow root when I want that really rich gold color. And then maybe mid-lengths and ends, use my 9.5-5 or my 9.5-4. Now, if you really want to have a little fun, a little pumpkin spice, if you will, I love to mix my 9-7 with my 9-5-5. That is my level 9 gold with a level 9 copper. This level 9 copper is a very natural copper shade, so it's going to give just that soft little reflection. So it's going to give you just that little bit of a pumpkin spice, if you will. So try those out. Again, I don't know all the shades, but I will look at that for next time so I know what is in that kit. But I'm sure you have at least some of those in your kit. So try them out, have fun with them. Golds are so popular right now, and especially going into fall. It's October now. People want to have that fall look. So try them out. I hope you love them. I know I do. I love all of our toners. All right, so next question. Do I need to use developer with 10-minute color? Excellent question. This is color. Color always has pigments that are unoxidized, especially if it's a permanent color. If you're getting 100% gray coverage, an unoxidized pigment means that it needs oxygen to blow up that pigment. So these pigments are these very tiny little pigments that can go into the hair strand, and that oxygen blows them up so that they stay inside that hair strand. So yes, for color 10, you do need to add your developer. What I love is if you're already using IGORA Riel, you can use our IGORA Riel developers with your color 10, so you don't have to get any different developers. If you are looking for gray coverage with our color 10 developers, with our color 10, you'll want to use 20 volume when you're trying to get 100% gray coverage. If your client has fine hair, 10 volume can be enough, but you'd want to use 20 volume if it's medium to coarse hair. So yes, great question. With color 10, you do need to add developer to activate the pigments that are inside of this tube of color to get that 100% gray coverage. Love that question. Hopefully we get even more on color 10 because it is amazing. All right, so I am trying to scroll down here again. I'm having some sort of technical difficulties where my mouse pad just doesn't want to work, but here we go. All right, I'm having a hard time getting 6-60, which is a level 6 chocolate natural, 7-60, which is a level 7 chocolate natural, and 7-70, which is a level 7 copper natural. Those are part of our absolutes range in IGORA Riel. Are we replacing those with a different shade? First of all, I just want to say I'm sorry that you're struggling to get these shades. This is not something that we're discontinuing. These shades are just unavailable at the time. So if you can't get them, it just means that your distributor may not have them. And it's something that hopefully they will get here soon. I do believe just this weekend I was at a hair show and we were talking a little bit about some shades that were a little less available, and it was only with certain distributors. So what I will tell you is that these shades will be coming back. So I apologize that you're struggling to get them now, but just know that we are aware that some distributors are having trouble getting these shades in, but they will be coming back. So keep a lookout for those. In the meantime, I would say if you want to create these shades. So I just quickly want to talk about absolutes. Absolutes come in this taupe colored box, and they are absolutely amazing for gray coverage. They have 30% more pigment white than the regular IGORA Riel, and they're pre-blended fashion shades in your coppers, your golds, your chocolates, and your reds, all pre-blended for you to give you 100% gray coverage. Also, there is a technology called Pro Age Complex. This Pro Age Complex has silyamines that are going to smooth that hair cuticle and collagen to plump up the ends. So it's going to make the hair feel better after it's colored than it did before. So while I can give you ideas on how to create these shades, the thing you'll be missing is that Pro Age Complex. However, I can give you ideas on how to make these in the meantime while you're having a hard time getting these shades. So within our range, we do have 6-6, which is going to be a level 6 chocolate. That's going to be this right here. We don't have a 7-6, but we do have a 7-77. So here would be my recommendation for you. I would take one part, well, I would take 6-60, I would take 6-6, 2 parts, or 6-6, half of your formula, and 6-00 is the other half. 6-00 has 25% more pigment weight, so you're going to get that extra pigment weight for gray coverage. So I would say a third or half of your formula is 6-00, and the other part is 6-0. Now for 7-70, I would take our 7-77, which is our level 7 copper extra. That's going to be on this page here. And I would mix equal parts with 7-00. So mixing 7-77 with equal parts 7-00, that's going to give you that extra pigment weight because there's 25% more pigment weight in the 7-00. So try that for now until those become available, but I assure you they are not being discontinued. They're just, the distributor is having a hard time getting them at the moment, but they will be back, I promise. So hopefully it's sooner rather than later because those are amazing shades for Christmas and for Thanksgiving. So, or just the holiday season in general. So hopefully they come back soon, but just know that we are not getting rid of those shades. They are just temporarily unavailable. All right, so I'm actually going to reach for my mouse over here because my pad is not letting me do much. So give me just a second. Bear with me for just a second. For some reason, there we go. All right, I've got this here. Perfect. All right, so my next question here, best formulas for bleach and tone, please. So bleach and tone is a tricky thing, isn't it? Because different bases are going to require different toners. So I'll give you some formulas for if you've truly gotten to that pale yellow, like inside of a banana peel yellow for a true bleach and tone shade. So my favorite to use for my bleach and tone toners is going to be Vibrance. However, there are shades in Blonde Me as well. So I'll give you some ideas in both because I don't know, some of you may not realize we even have toners in Blonde Me. So I want to make you aware of that too. So one of my favorite toners, if you're looking for a bleach and tone and you want that really cool, just anti-yellow, it just needs to be a cool shade, but you don't want it to be silver. My first tip in a bleach and tone is if you're gonna bleach and tone, typically the ends are more porous. What that means is if the hair is more porous, it means there's these holes in the hair that make the color sometimes not take evenly. So I highly recommend using our hair primer to spray in that hair first. That's gonna even out the porosity of the hair. Step 2 is if the hair is porous like that, it's going to grab more. So I always like to do a more diluted version on the ends than what I do on the new growth because the new growth tends to be a little less porous. So whenever I do a bleach and tone, I always choose a 9.5 series on the new growth and a level 10 toner for the mid lengths and ends. So that's my first tip. I do it every single time and the color ends up looking amazing every time. And even if the root area is slightly deeper, it just looks more natural that way. So good example, if I want just like the anti-yellow, that break the brass, my number one toner for that is going to be taking 9.5-1 on the new growth. While it looks silver on this swatch, this is put on a white swatch. So if you have that yellow, it's really going to get rid of the yellow and leave you with a nice cool shade. And then I like to complement the mid-lengths and ends by taking 10-1 on those mid-lengths and ends. So for a nice cool blonde, 9.5-1 on the new growth, 10-1 on the mid-lengths and ends. 6 volume for both on that one. If there's a lot of yellow on the new growth, you might use the lotion. Otherwise, gel should be enough on both of them. My other favorite formula is I always like to mix a -4, which is our beige, with a -1, which is our cendre. It creates the most beautiful natural tone. So mixing these two together will make it so that your hair is not too warm, it's not too cool, it's that perfect in-between blonde. So I like to do 9.5, which is toner. That doesn't mean that it's a level 9.5 per se, it's just a diluted version. So 9.5-4, which is beige, and 9.5-1, which is cendre, that blue violet, those equal parts on the new growth. Then for the mid lengths and ends, I'll take the complementary 10-1 level 10 toner with my 10-4 on the mid lengths and ends to create the most beautiful natural blonde toner. Now, while we're talking about toners, I just want to let you know that a level 10 toner, just to understand the difference between a 9.5 series and level 10, is that a 9.5 series is meant for a level 9 blonde or above. But if it's that pale yellow, sometimes it can be more pigment weight than you want. So this is going to be that lower level 9. Whereas if I'm that pale blonde, my level 10 toner is going to be more sheer. So my 10-1 would be as if I took my 9.5-1 equal parts with clear. It would look the same as my 10-1. So our level 10 toners are just more sheer than the 9.5 series. So if you're switching over to us from another line and you're more used to a very sheer toner, the 10 series is going to be amazing for you. But those are two of my favorite formulas to use. The other trick I like to do, I like to add a gold into any of my formulas, like a 10-5, for instance, into any of my formulas. That gold is going to keep that reflection in the hair that you want to have to keep the brightness. When I went to beauty school, I'm sure some of you watching this are the same. We didn't even tone hair. We just lifted it and hoped it was the prettiest blonde that we could get or the prettiest yellow that we could get, and we left it raw. That left the lightener or the lightened pieces looking very bright, and your clients liked it. And so when toners came out, sometimes our clients felt like we were making their hair darker. So what I love about the level 10 toners is that they're a barely there toner. They're going to just enhance that bright blonde that you lifted them to. So if you get somebody to a pale yellow and you just need to refine slightly, your level 10 toners are perfect for that. So again, that's becoming super popular. So if you haven't yet, definitely try out our level 10 toners. They are phenomenal. So moving on to the next question. Can you explain the technology in absolutes and how to use them? So we did talk a little bit about the technology before, but let's get into it a little bit deeper and talk about what are absolutes. Absolutes come in this color of box. Our absolutes are our pre-blended fashion tones in our coppers, golds, chocolates, and reds. They're pre-blended for 100% gray coverage for you. So that means I can take a tube of IGORA Absolutes by itself out of this box, know I'm going to get 100% gray coverage and a great fashion shade. This one is 9-50, for instance, which I'll show you this side of the box because it's a little bit bigger on that side, which is a level 9 and it's a gold natural. That means it has my natural already mixed in for that gray coverage. So that technology that's in the IGORA Absolutes is called a pro-age complex. That pro-age complex is a combination of cysteamines that are going to smooth that hair cuticle, making that hair softer, and collagen that's going to fill in the brittle sites, making those brittle ends less brittle. So for mature hair, a lot of times the hair can become very coarse. It's not soft anymore. So that pro-age complex is going to make it feel softer. But also the ends a lot of times are more brittle, so that collagen is going to help them out. So that pro-age complex is the addition that we have that makes this a premium gray coverage line. Now, the other part to this is there's 30% more pigment weight than there is in the regular IGORA Riel. So with that 30% more pigment weight, you're going to get 100% gray coverage on coarse resistant white hair. To be honest, if you're new to using IGORA Riel or to using Schwarzkopf at all, this page, these absolutes are something you're absolutely going to want to bring into your salon because it's a no-brainer. You don't have to think about it. All of these shades will give me 100% gray coverage on their own. So if I'm like, hey, Amber, I don't know how to get, 100% gray coverage mixing a copper with a natural, guess what? I can take 7-70, level 7, copper natural by itself, put it on, get 100% gray coverage, and know that the hair is even going to feel better than it did before. Now, our recommendation with the absolutes, because of that extra pigment weight, is if your hair is 90 to 100% white, we recommend IGORA Riel 20 volume developer. So these are used with your IGORA Riel developers because they are part of the IGORA family. If your hair is under 90% white, technically we recommend utilizing 30 volume just because of the extra pigment weight so that the color is the level it's supposed to be. Manufacturer recommendations. For me, in general, a lot of these shades are warmer, so I have found I do just fine with just 20 volume with any shade that I've had because 30 volume sometimes can create more underlying warmth, and I never want hot roots, so I've been good with 20 volume. But if you want to do true manufacturer recommendations, 90 to 100% white, 20 volume. If you're under 90% white, that's when you'd want to use 30 volume, and that's so that a level 6 looks like a true level 6. Now, looking at some of these, we've got like copper naturals. So we've got coppers that are in here. What I love is we've also got reds. So if I'm formulating for a red, I don't actually have to formulate anymore. It's right here. I've got my gold naturals. I've got chocolate naturals already mixed in for me. And then we have a few shades that are even cooler. So we've got like a -10, which is a Cendré natural. We've got a -140, which is a Cendré beige natural. So lots of different shades to choose from. I will caution you, if you're using an absolutes box, we do not recommend mixing them with a red box. Reason being, the technology is different in each box. The technology here has that pro-age complex and 30% more pigment weight. So if I mix it with this, I'm diluting those benefits. And the other reason being that this on its own is a pre-blended color, so I don't need to mix it with a red box. Now within this line, you can mix up to 2 shades. I would recommend only 2 because these are pre-blended. you start to mix more than two, you could create mud because you don't know what each one is made of. So if I like this copper natural, for instance, but I want to slightly soften it, I can always mix it with maybe a gold natural or a beige natural to slightly soften it. But you wouldn't want to then mix in a cendre or anything like that. So using these on their own, especially if you're new to our brand, highly recommend that you bring these into the salon. It makes it super easy to get 100% gray coverage in all of your fashion shades without having to think about it. Tracy Cunningham is with us as well, and she just started using the absolutes and she uses them all the time. We just did a show, and this show was on the East Coast in Philadelphia, and she brought in a model from her salon that had gray hair, and she utilized the absolutes on her, and it was phenomenal. This particular model had really coarse resistant white hair, so the extra gray coverage just made her hair feel softer. It was a natural gray coverage, and it was just beautiful and so perfect. So Tracy believes in absolutes. You should believe in them too. If you want more information on the absolutes, again, you can book a one-on-one appointment with an Ask Expert or an educator from Schwarzkopf by going to skpedu.com. Also, if you want to download anything, we have the number system, the color circle. We have also like our swatch charts, paper swatch charts. You can download these at our switchwithskp.com page. So if you're like, I want a tool to put in the back bar, this is an excellent option for you to go to our download center. You can download anything from IGORA Riel to IGORA Vibrance to our ammonia-free range, which is our IGORA Zero. You can do any of that along with Blonde Me. Download anything you want and check out our SKP rewards. If you're already a Schwarzkopf user, you may not know that we have rewards. So for every dollar that you spend, you earn points. With those points, you can get back bar, you can get random coffee makers, you can get flights to places, all kinds of stuff. So you can find out information about that in our download center as well, which is on our switchwithskp.com page. So check that out if you haven't already. It's definitely something you'll want to look up. All right, so next question. How would you get from highlighted level 10 to chocolate level 5, 6? Excellent question. This is the time of year everybody's starting to go darker. So how do we go darker and maintain that color looking good? How many times have you done somebody's hair, gone darker, and it suddenly looks muddy? Yeah, that can definitely happen. Whenever you're going darker, we have to bear in mind the underlying warmth that hair has. So remember, we talked about the underlying pigment in hair. If we look here, do any of these tones look like cool tones? No. When hair is porous, when you lift hair, you're removing the color from the hair. You're removing that pigment, which means you're removing some of that underlying warmth. Yes, you leave some of that underlying warmth, but that hair is very porous. You remove all of that color. So what happens is when I'm going and say I've gotten her to pale yellow, I no longer have like any of these other shades, and I'm going to a level 5 or 6. If I just take a level 5 or 6 and put on this pale yellow, what's going to happen? It's going to go muddy. The reason being that porous hair is going to grab all of those cooler pigments and it's just going to look murky and muddy and not like the swatch that you want at all. So what you need to do is replace the underlying warmth that is missing from that color. So I always recommend utilizing our boosters within Vibrance as your filler for hair. So in Vibrance, we have 3 boosters. We have our 0-55, which is our, well, we have more than 3 boosters, but the 3 I'm talking about, 0-55, which is my gold booster, 0-77, which is my copper booster, and 0-88, which is a red booster. These can be mixed with your 6 volume activator lotion or gel. I prefer actually mixing it with the gel. Reason being, I can do a bottle application, make it super quick and easy. So for this, we recommend if you're going down to say a level 7 or 8, you'd want to fill that hair with 0-55. If you're going all the way down to a level 5, 6, you'd want to fill that hair with 0-77. Because you've got a little bit of red, you might even add some 0-88 into that filler. So you could take your 0-77, maybe mix in a tiny bit of 0-88 with your 6 volume gel, apply that to the hair first all over, let it sit for 10 minutes. Simply rinse that out of the hair. Rinse it until that water runs clear. You don't need to shampoo it. Then you'll blow dry to 100% and then apply your final formula. So you'll fill with your boosters and then apply your final formula. Now, if you want to fill with a regular color, you still can. So if you're like, well, Amber, I'd rather fill it with like 7-77. Can I do that instead? Yes, the thing I would recommend is if you're gonna fill with a regular color, just make sure that you're filling at least 2 levels lighter than your desired shade. So if you're going down to a level 5, you could take 7-77 with your 6 volume gel, apply that all over everywhere, rinse that out of the hair. You could shampoo out if you want, but you could simply rinse that out of the hair, blow dry to 100%, and then apply your final formula. So you have a lot of options there, but that's how you're going to want to do that. Now, if you're somebody who's like, yeah, except for she's going to want to go blonde again next year and she doesn't want an all over color, you could also just low light. And if you're just low lighting, it's harder to fill. So I always say just find something that has a chocolate in it because that chocolate is a warm brown and it'll help to fill that base and give you a better base. So if you're going to just do low lights, I would recommend mixing something with a chocolate in it. So thank you for that question. It's an excellent one, especially this time of year. All right, so for pre-toning and post-toning difference, pre-toning and post-toning difference. Okay, so for pre-toning typically means that I'm trying to get the best base possible. I'm going to give silver as an option or as an idea. So say I want to get a silver tone, but like I've lifted her and she's pale yellow, but she's still got yellow. Let's think about if you're painting a wall. If I'm going to take a yellow wall and paint it gray, what's the first thing you do? You prime it. Why? To make it white so that when I put that gray over top of it, it's truly going to be that gray. Well, hair color is the same way. There are times where you need to pre-tone. So maybe I've lifted my client to this pale yellow, like inside of a banana peel yellow, but they're still yellow. So if I take a silver and put over that, most silver tones have some sort of blue. Well, blue and yellow make a really beautiful murky green. So it's not going to be pretty. So you first need to pre-tone. An excellent pre-tone is going to be like a 10-1 if you're that pale yellow. That 10-1 is that anti-yellow, that break the brass. It's going to take you as close to white as possible. Now I have a good starting base. So I would pre-tone with that, and I could pre-tone right at the shampoo bowl, maybe let that toner sit on for 5 to 10 minutes, simply rinse that out of the hair. Then I'll go in with my final toner right over top of whatever that toner is. So that's your biggest difference. Your pre-tone is just giving you a better base. Now you can also pre-tone if I've lifted somebody to a level 8 and I need to pre-tone there. Maybe she's really orange and I'm hoping to get rid of some of that orange. Well, at a level 8, we have 8-11, which is going to be level 8, and that's going to be a Cendre Extra, which is somewhere here. But we also have a 9-1 suit. So this might even be a good option because it's got a blue to counteract the orange. So I could always put this on the hair first. What that's going to do is neutralize out the warmth that I'm seeing. That gives me a better base for my final toner. The other benefit to pre-toning before your final toner is it's an extra layer of color. That extra layer of color always gives us more longevity to the color as well. So if you haven't started pre-toning, I recommend doing it now. The other option for a pre-tone is a violet shampoo. We do have a Fiber Clinics violet shampoo, but we also in our Blonde Me range, we just relaunched Blonde Me. We have a Cool Blondes shampoo and actually a conditioner and a conditioning mask for the hair. But the shampoo is a violet shampoo, so that can also be a pre-tone to help kick out unwanted yellow first. So you have the option of toning and then toning again, or using a violet shampoo and then toning. So great question. Thank you for that. Another question we have here. What is the situation that I could use Agora Real 9.5 rather than Vibrance 9.5-1? Okay, 9.5-1. That is going to be my toner. That means that my hair needs to be at least a level 9 or above. So her question is, when would I choose a permanent toner versus a demi-permanent toner? And I have a couple of instances where a permanent toner is going to be amazing. My first instance where I might want to use a permanent toner. If you've done highlights on somebody and say their base color is pretty dark and you got the highlight really light and there's a big difference between the dark and the light, sometimes you might want to lift that base and do a slight base break and tone the highlights at the same time. So this way you're lifting that base and toning the highlights to bring the difference between the highs and the lows to being less. 9.5-1 in Agora Real is perfect for that. Mixing this with 10 volume on fine hair 5 to 7 minutes, on coarse hair 7 to 10 minutes. You can do this right at the shampoo bowl, paint it right onto the new growth area. It's going to take that anti-yellow, that cendre tone, that blue violet, and that's going to kick out the yellow that you've lifted those highlights to, but it also creates a soft toning for when you're lifting. So you'll get up to one level of lift to break the base, and then also tone your highlights. So that's an excellent reason to use that. The other time you might, if you've done a bleach and tone and her new growth, her area that you just applied color to is more yellow than you wanted it to be. Maybe it's not quite where you wanted it to be. If I use 9.5-1 in my permanent Agora Real toner, I can hopefully shift that base up just a level or half level lighter while toning at that base. Plus, I'm driving that color molecule a little bit deeper into that hair strand for that extra like longevity for the toner on that extra yellow base. So if somebody has a really yellow base, using a permanent toner can help me counteract that yellow a little bit better. So hopefully that helped you out. That's definitely a reason to use it. The only other time that I have used a permanent toner, say you've done a toner in Agora Real and it went to silver, or say in Vibrance, whatever you're using, say something went to silver. I have actually used a permanent toner over top of a toner I just did. It's just enough to swell that cuticle open and release that pigment I just put in and put the pigment here in. So in that instance, I've actually used my 9.5-4, and I did this in a class actually. We had somebody who their hair pulled a little more silver, so we took 9.5-4 with 10 volume. We applied it right at the shampoo bowl, and you just watched that other color come right out of the hair, and it input this beige, and it was perfect. So just remember, it can be used as a corrective situation as well. I love that question. Thank you for asking that one. I really appreciate it. Next one. Hello, what would be the ratio to make, let's say, 6-65 Royale or Vibrance? Okay, so 6-65 is level 6, and it's a chocolate gold. First of all, I love our chocolate golds because it's giving you that chocolate base, but it has a gold reflection rather than a red or a copper reflection. So it's a really beautiful shade for somebody who wants to see some reflection and they don't mind warmth, but they don't want to see red. It's excellent for that. So 6-65 is this one right here. We can see this right in the middle there. So if you're going to make this, my guess is if you're using Agora Real, you're looking for gray coverage. So to get 6-65 for gray coverage, you would take 2 parts of your color formula as 6-65, and 1/3 of that formula can be a natural. That can be a -0, which is my natural. It can be -00, which is natural extra for coarse resistant white hair. Or I might even recommend 6-4. That's my beige tone. That's going to keep the warmth of the 6-65. So if you're looking for gray coverage and you want 6-65 as your end result, take like 30 grams of 6-65 and 20 grams of 6-4, which is your beige. Mix that, 20 and 30 is 50. So mix that with 50 grams of your 20 volume Agora Real developer, and you'll get amazing gray coverage. And also you'll get that chocolate gold result. Now, if you have coarse resistant white hair, then your choice might need to be the 6-00, which is the level 6 natural extra, and that would be the third of your formula. Now, if you're in Vibrance, the same thing applies. In Vibrance, you're not going to get 100% gray coverage, but what you can do is get up to 70% gray blending. Now, in order to get that 70% gray blending, you need to mix 2/3 of your formula as your fashion tone, and 1/3 of your formula does need to be a -00. So let's take a look at our -65 series here. Hopefully we have this swatch in here. Yes, we don't. Okay. So we don't have that swatch in here. I know we have 6-65 in the series. If for some reason there's not a level 6-65, I'm pretty sure there's a level 6 and a level 8-65 because I have used them before. And there might even be a level 9-65. So in that, if I'm looking for gray coverage up to 70%, 2/3 of my formula is that 6-65, and 1/3 of that formula would be 6-00, and I would use my 13 volume Agora Vibrance Activator Lotion. So say I did 30 grams of 6-65, I could do 20 grams of 6-00, 30 and 20 is 50, so it'd be 50 grams of my 13 volume activator. So I hope that helps. If not, again, don't forget you can schedule your one-on-one appointment with an Ask Expert to really define what you want to get out of that answer. And you can do that by going to skpedu.com and booking that one-on-one appointment. So thank you for that question. Next question. Can we mix 0-00 Vibrance with permanent Agora for shine and texture? Great question. Thank you for that one. Clear. Clear is available in Vibrance, but it is also available in Agora Real. So the question is, can I mix my Vibrance Clear in with my Agora Real Permanent Shade? And the answer to that is no. We don't recommend that. We have a clear for Vibrance that you can use to dilute your Vibrance shades. We also have a clear in Agora Real that you can mix with your shades to dilute them. If you're truly looking for a clear shine treatment, and you want that extra bit of shine, you're already getting a lot of shine with Vibrance and Agora Real. So my recommendation would be to either use 0-00 Clear by itself as your shine treatment after you've colored the hair. The other option that you have, we have Chroma ID. These are colored conditioners for the hair. And guess what? We have a clear in this as well, 0-00. So you could take your 0-00 Clear in Chroma ID. It's a bonding conditioning treatment for the hair. It's going to add that extra layer of shine. It's going to lock in your color and be that bonding conditioning treatment. So what you would do for that is you would shampoo out your color, you would towel dry, and then apply your clear Chroma ID all over everything. That would sit up to 10 minutes. And that's going to give you approximately 10 shampoos worth of additional shine. So that would be my recommendation. I wouldn't recommend using Vibrance Clear into an Agora Real shade. There is a clear in Agora Real that if you wanted to dilute a permanent hair color, you could with the clear in Agora Real. So thank you for that question. Love that one. I'm sure people have done it before. It's not recommended, and you'll notice that the texture is so much different. It just doesn't really work very well together. So next question I love because it's fashion lights. Always love talking about fashion lights. So I used Agora fashion lights with 40 volume on colored ends, yet the lift was minimal. No permanent color on the hair, just bleach and toned from previous season. Any suggestions to get a lighter tone? So I'm going to go ahead and say this is an anomaly. I've used our fashion lights a lot with 40 volume, and unless that hair has been colored level 1 black for years, you get a lot of lift. So there must have been something on that hair that was keeping that color from lifting. So my suggestion would be that you do a clarifying treatment on that client's hair next time before you try to use fashion lights. Now, the thing I do want to talk about, because in this you said 40 volume on colored ends, yet the lift was minimal, no permanent color on the hair, just bleach and toned from previous season. I don't know what color that hair was. What I do want to mention, because you said it was colored, but it sounds to me like it had lightener underneath. So this is an instance where I feel like you should definitely book a one-on-one appointment with an educator to really discuss this one. And that's at the skp.edu.com. Oh yeah, skpedu.com. Go there, book your one-on-one appointment so you can get an even better answer to this. But I do want to talk about the fashion lights real quick. So our fashion lights give you up to 5 levels of lift and tone in one step, even on previously colored hair. They are an off scalp only lightening service, and they can be highlighted in and they can be balayaged in. I will tell you, you will get more lift when you put this in a foil, just like you do lightener, than if you just do it in open air. So if you did do open air on her hair, maybe try putting her hair in a foil next time. And the other part is, if she was toned and she had been bleached and toned, depending on how dark she was, if she was a really dark shade and you had toned her multiple times, it could have been built up on her hair, or maybe she has hard water and that hard water had built up on her hair and it couldn't lift through. So those are some options of what could have happened. Again, book your one-on-one appointment. But what I will say is with these fashion lights, and these are not the fashion lights, these are actually boosters. I grabbed the wrong thing for you. These are fashion lights. There are L series. With these, I would say that if they're under a level 5, so these are put on a level 5 swatch. So I can expect to get this much intensity. If my client is a level 5, I will get this much intensity. If you're darker than that, this red is going to be a darker red. So if I start at a level 2, I'm not going to be this vibrant. I'll be a little bit darker. So always bear that in mind when you're using these. It's up to 5 levels of lift, and these are put on a level 5 swatch. So highly recommend put it in a foil next time. Do a clarifying treatment. That should help you out. I have had huge success with these, and so I hope that you try them again and that you find that you're also getting that success. So next question, what volume is developers recommended to use when doing a wet balayage to brighten or refresh up the ends? Love this question. We all do this, right? We all want to brighten those ends. Like maybe your client has been doing violet shampoo on her hair at home and her ends just look dull, or maybe the toner just looks dull on her ends. What volume developer? I always recommend utilizing the lowest volume developer possible when you're doing that wet balayage on the ends, because typically you're just trying to softly brighten them. So for me, if I'm using my Vario Blonde Plus or my Vario Blonde Super Plus, I would utilize my 10 volume Agora Rail developer. If I want to shift it a little bit more, I might do 20 volume because I'm just going to do it at the shampoo bowl. It's going to be super quick and easy. So I would say 10 or 20 volume with either one of these while at the shampoo bowl on wet hair. Now, if you're doing our Blonde Me 9 Plus lightener, this is our Ferrari of lighteners, 7 volume is going to be enough. This is a very intense lightener. It's going to work very quickly. So I would recommend just 7 volume for that wet balayage. It's going to do wonders and it's going to work very quickly. Typically, you don't need a lot of power. So I would say 10 volume with Vario Blonde and 7 volume with your Blonde Me 9 Plus, but maybe 20 volume if you were trying to shift more. So great question. Love that. Next one, Jacqueline asked, I use 8-0, which is a level 8 natural on my grandma, all white hair. She doesn't like the yellow green tint that it fades to. What should I add to make more neutral? Or should I switch to the absolutes? I thought absolutes were mostly gray shades, so I haven't looked into it. Great question here, Jacqueline. I would recommend using the absolutes because the absolutes do have that 30% more pigment weight. So I would say maybe add a little bit more gold into her formula. So maybe for her, even actually you were using a level 8. So we have an 8-01 here. You could do the natural Cendre, but that's going to also have that coolness to it. But what about adding an 8-50 into it? An 8-50 is that gold natural. You might even try this on its own. So this one is going to have more of that gold. So as it fades out, it's not going to get any sort of green tint to it. It's going to have more of that gold tint. So recommend trying 8-50 with your 20 volume Agora Real developer, or maybe add a little bit of 8-01, which is that natural Cendre, into the 8-50, which is your gold natural. So try that out. I hope it works well. You can always message me or Schwarzkopf on Instagram. Let us know how it worked out. I'm on Instagram at Amber Hug. You can find Schwarzkopf, Schwarzkopf USA. You might even be watching it from there. All right, so next question. What should be kept in mind while mixing two colors to make a new color? Now, this depends on what line you're in, but when you're mixing two colors together, I always try to think about what is my goal with mixing these two colors together. A lot of times I'll mix a Cendre with a beige. My goal there is kind of canceling each other out and creating a neutral. I have a -0, which is a neutral, but like I just kind of want to create my own so it's slightly different. The things to bear in mind is if I'm mixing a red with a matte, which is a green, I'm going to neutralize it out. So what is my reason for mixing those two together? Do I want red, but I want to soften that red and make it more neutral? So just be sure that what you're mixing together makes sense. If I'm putting a red with a matte, well, if I want to see red, why am I adding matte to it? I could see doing chocolate with a matte because the chocolate, I don't want to see the red reflection, and that could look really pretty. So just use your color circle. Make this a priority when you're trying to create two different colors together and find out what is your end goal. Like if my end goal is to be more of this copper, then maybe I stick to these areas here when I'm mixing colors together. These numbers on the outside of this color circle represent the numbers after the dash for any color that we have in our brand. So you can use this if I'm just trying to stay within these copper golds, I'm only going to mix these shades together. If I want to neutralize out orange that I'm seeing, that's when I'll come down here and find something to neutralize. So utilize this. It's going to be the best option for you when you're mixing colors together. Love that question. All right, good morning. What would be the ratio to make 6-65? We talked about this earlier. 6-65 is a color on its own. It's a level 6 chocolate gold. And we talked earlier about getting gray coverage with that. So just for more to get more specific, I would book your one-on-one appointment with an Ask Expert at skpedu.com and book a one-on-one appointment so you can get more specific on that question. Next question, I have a lot of warm tones and want to ash what is best for toning. So what is your warm? Is it gold? Is it copper? Or is it red? That's going to determine what you're going to use to ash out. So I just talked about this, the color circle. Use this to determine what you need to ash out something. If I'm seeing gold, I want to make sure that I use something that has a violet in it to neutralize out the yellow that I'm seeing. If I'm seeing copper, I want something with a blue in it to neutralize any blue that or neutralize out any copper that I'm seeing. So I'd want a -2 or ash in my formula. If I'm seeing red, I want something with a green to neutralize. So I'd want a -3, which is a matte or a green. So use this color circle, use this number system. This will determine which ash is the right ash for you, because yellow is going to have purple as your counteraction. Blue is going to have, or like orange is going to be blue to counteract. and my red is going to be green to counteract. So this color circle will help you. So use that to help you determine what to use. All right, so how much gold do you add in a formula to keep the brightness? Can you give an example? Absolutely. So when we're talking about this, most of the time when I'm adding gold into a formula, it's typically when I'm doing a toner. So in my toners, typically a very small portion of my formula is gold unless I want to see it. If I'm using the gold just to keep the reflection, if I'm doing, say, 30 grams of toner, I would do, say, 25 grams of my toner would be my desired shade, like 9.5-1, and maybe 5 grams of a gold, just enough to give that little bit of a filler. So it doesn't need to be a lot unless I truly want to kind of have a gold and a natural together. Then I might make equal parts cendre and gold to create more of a neutral. But if I'm just trying to keep that reflection, I would say maybe like 1 to 5 grams in a toner formula of 30 grams would be perfect to help you get that reflection. So I hope that answered that question. If you want more specifics, again, skpedu.com. So I think we have time for one last question, and then we will close it out for the day. So how can you achieve bright red without bleaching on a very dark brown? I love this question because we just talked about these. Fashion lights, that's how you're going to get this. L-88 by itself with 40 volume. Highlight this in for the very vibrant red shade. I actually have on my page, so if you want to check me out, at Amber Hug on Instagram, you'll have to scroll down a little bit, but I actually show utilizing the L-88 and L-89 on a mannequin head with really dark curly brown hair. And it's around a Christmas time. It's like a Christmas special, but it shows you utilizing the L-88 with 40 volume in foils to create a really vibrant red. And that's how you're going to get it. Use this with 40 volume in foils, but they are off scalp only. So then I would take 6-88 on the regrowth, and that's going to give you that brightness on the scalp. Okay, that is all we have time for today. As a reminder, we will be doing our Ask Me Anythings in the future. We have another one coming up in a couple of weeks, so we'll be sharing that out. Also, don't forget to book your one-on-one appointment. That's skpedu.com. Don't forget also, switchwithskp.com page has everything that you could need there. And also check out on our website, we have tons of free virtual education, including some technique-based seminars. We've got a couple of those coming up at the end of the month. On October 22nd, we have some technique-based seminars. And then on October 22nd is technique-based, 27th is going to be your PK classes, which is this flyer right here. So if you have even more questions, you can ask questions on these virtual seminars, and it gives you a class on IGORA Real, IGORA Vibrance, and also Blonde Me. So thank you again for joining me today. We hope to see you on our next Ask Me Anything, and I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your week. We will see you on October 28th.